Welcome, data people. We are Zuma. My name is Matt, and this is Data for Good. This podcast is brought to you by Zuma. Zuma is a dedicated recruitment company for senior data, insights, and analytics professionals, connecting you with Berlin's most influential companies. The Data for Good podcast is for the world of data analytics and engineering, giving you access to the thoughts and opinions of Berlin's most successful data people. Today, we are joined by Yavuz Özsöz, engineering manager for data and machine learning at Delivery Hero here in Berlin. So today we're going to be talking about data engineering, ML engineering, data strategy, and we could also touch a little bit on leadership as well. Yavuz, welcome and Happy New Year. How are you?
Thanks. Happy New Year. I'm fine. Thanks for asking. Happy for having me here today and looking forward to this discussion today.
Our pleasure. It's the start of 2023. Are you ready for what it's going to throw us?
Yeah, I think so. I'm more than ready, I would say. Super motivated and looking forward.
Yes, I'm excited. I think data, the value of data and all things data is really going to be realized over the next 12 to 18 months. It's quite an exciting time. So yeah, let's get into the episode. I know that one area that you are passionate about is the relationship between software and data. So yeah, can you tell us a little bit about this?
Absolutely. So to give some background, I'm coming from a computer science background. I have studied that at the Humboldt University in Berlin. And throughout my journey of studies, I realized how interesting data is actually to crunch this data to get and gather insights from there. And also realized at some point, until you can get these insights, you have to get the data right. And this brought me closer to data engineering and overall everything what is related to data. And starting this journey, I explored more and got super interested in it, and just looking forward to stay in this area.
Yeah, once you get a taste for data, it's tough to get away from it, for sure. So, I mean, what's your earliest memory of data? What do you think ignited that passion?
That's actually a good question. I just need to think back years ago while studying. I think like one of the, I would say, attracting points was when we had some assignments at the university and we were supposed to write performance queries. And back then it was based on Oracle. And we had to measure the query performance and had to write like efficient queries. And I think this was sort of the like first attracting points in my data career, I would say.
Nice. So you've come a long way from there. You're now engineering manager and you were a head of data previously as well. So where did you begin to realize the real value and that it can make a difference to businesses and have impact there?
This is actually a nice question. I think this is also a question a lot of data organizations struggle with and struggle in answering. I was doing a data engineering career, like just plumbing data together, gathering data together, and then providing it for certain business use cases. And at some point, I started realizing there are some issues in this area, right? How we are treating the data, like how we are looking on issues with the data, and how we are incorporating data overall in our decisions or in our business strategy. I think at that point, I started thinking deeper and then started investigating and developing further, let's say, skills or traits in this area. And now I'm here. I'm doing engineering management, and I wouldn't say I'm just interested in engineering management. I'm literally interested in data end to end.
From the outside, people think that data, just to have data, is a kind of golden bullet, that it solves all the problems. But there's a lot that goes into it. There's a lot that's needed. It's not just the tech stack. It's not just the people. There's all different angles. Where should a company start, or where should a team start?
I think one of the major pillars of this question is what you want to actually achieve with this data, right? And how offensive or defensive you want to go or you can go actually. If you, for instance, are like in the health sector, you need to be like very defensive. You need to protect your data in a different level. You need to have a different level of investment in data protection and overall your processes, right? That how much you monitor and to which level of depth. And the other side is, let's say, if you are in a, let's say, more relaxed sector in terms of business, then of course you can go more offensive. So where you prioritize like, shipping, delivering, getting fast insights, shipping in a very fast way models, where you can, let's say, a bit compromise on certain things due to the fact of your sector and your area. So you need to really understand where you are and what you want to get out of it, because you need to also define on top of it what are your engineering principles, right? So how around which principles your team should act and build things, build or buy, hybrid, where to build, where not to build. These type of questions get relevant, and these questions need, again, they need to be related to an overarching or like, let's say, overall business strategy. Because if you are not able in the long term to relate yourself to a business strategy, you won't get the attention you want to get.
And maybe it's something that's forgotten, that people get data and then try and use it in a business use case, whereas really you should be, from what you're saying, it sounds like you should be really focusing on the business use case, the business objective, and work back from there.
Absolutely. You need to look on like, what are your issues, your problems, or the insights you are missing to succeed, or the things you don't know about your customers and their engagement to succeed or to reach the next level. Do you have any cash flow issues? So where does they come from? Is anything there you can contribute with data? Are you missing some insights to tackle these cash flow let's say issues? Or do you need to know something about your customer to segment better, but you can't currently? And how can I contribute with data to it? Can I just connect data and make it available, or can I prepare it in a different way that the insights are faster at hand than they are now? And these type of questions you need to ask yourself, and as deep as you go, the better it's getting. And also you will also build inherently some good relationships to business and business stakeholders, which will get you more investment, more collaboration, and more fun tasks, I would say, also to grow.
Yeah, definitely. And you're very active on LinkedIn. You have some great posts. And you believe this is one of the main reasons why data engineering teams are kind of set up to fail, that the attention from upper management and the lack of alignment is setting teams up to fail.
Absolutely. That's totally right. Because what we tend to do in engineering, let's call it some level of self-criticism in that regard. As an engineer from heart, we need to ask ourselves very, like, frankly, for what are we engineering day by day? Are we engineering for the sake of engineering, or do we see a deeper mission in that? So are we looking beyond, let's say, engineering itself? So we are trying to solve a problem, let's say, solve a customer problem, or trying to contribute to the solution of a customer problem, or a business problem, a stakeholder problem. So this is something we need to ask ourselves, and we need to look a bit more into this direction. Otherwise, like, we just end up somewhere doing and not being able to contribute, like, with return on invest.
Absolutely. So how do we place data engineers in an impactful way?
That's actually a question a lot of organizations and companies have struggled with, are still struggling, and will be struggling also in the future. I can just give you some, I would say, we can even call it like a opinionated view from my side, how I see it. I see it in a way, how to phrase it, as good as you are in connecting your data engineers or relating your data engineers to business, bringing them closer to business and product, right? Building up a process or a relationship in between. This is gonna just tell you a lot about the success of this team and how you should place it. Otherwise, you easily end up in silos. And as again, you tend again to doing things, engineering for the sake of engineering. What I also do with my team is really supporting the mindset of pairing up, for instance, with analysts, introducing a mindset of a joint team goal approach, right?
Okay.
We have one team, we have one goal, and we have one big picture, and we contribute together to it.
So we know that we need them. It's how we use them best, and getting them as close to the stakeholders, to the business needs, is essential for success.
Absolutely, absolutely. So because, like when we are thinking a bit in terms of products, you are building these products for humans, right? You want to solve the problem of some humans. And then in our case, our customers are sometimes stakeholders and sometimes really users of the business, right? If you don't get closer to the understanding what these people need and want, and how you're going to succeed, how you're going to, let's say, even justify the time spent or the money spent on the work you are doing.
So if I am a mid-level, maybe engineer, and I want to add these skills to use them in my career and try and get closer to the business use cases, what kind of questions should I be asking, or how can I facilitate that?
I think there's a very simple approach anyone can just pick up and do. When you get a request, in a very curious way, you could ask, hey, what is this data meant for? If someone is asking you, right? So what we're going to do with it? So whom we're going to help with it? Are we going to get more revenue when we do this? Or are we going to solve a problem? This shows already some level of engagement, which will bring you into a conversation and will also bring you on a platform of conversation and language where you are able to understand each other, right? You are not talking too technical, you are not talking too business. You can easily come to a common language with people with this. And at the same time, you're also inherently or indirectly filtering work, right? You are a curious team member who is asking for a purpose. The next time someone is going to ask you to do something, they will be aware you're going to ask them this, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And if we go on the other side, if you're a business analyst and the access to entry with the tools getting easier and easier to use, how could a business analyst get closer? What kind of questions could they be asking to get closer to the engineering team?
I think this question is very interesting again. I would tackle it from the side of, asking yourself, how can I collaborate better with the engineers, right? So, and basically taking a mindset of not telling the data engineers how to solve it, rather coming up with a problem statement, right? And then rather embracing a language of, look, we have this problem we need to solve. And there's some data I see which might be relevant to solve this problem. Let's sit together and speak what we can do there, right? And most probably the engineer or whomever you are going to bring into this conversation will have also like colorful contributions to this conversation, and your solution is going to be much better than you thought about it.
Yeah, it's a two-way street. I think there needs to be understanding from both sides, and education is probably key here. So as an engineering manager, how do you bring these two? We don't want them siloed, we don't want them separate projects, we bring them together. How do you facilitate that?
I think this is, I think, a very heavy managerial task. So the manager needs to really look close on how the team is collaborating with each other. If we are bringing it back to data strategy, right? Mm-hmm. So one of the things you need to answer yourself is like people and skills. What type of roles do you have, right? And the next question is how you're going to line up these people, how they're going to collaborate with each other, you know, how they're going to process the tasks and requests and projects. But there you need to really make sure that these people inherently by process and line up have to speak to each other.
Yeah.
And while doing so, it's again not one-sided. All sides will learn from each other, and all sides will learn to take care of each other, right? We come back again to the point of joint team goal approach. It's our team, it's our business, it's, you know, it's our delivery. It's not the analysts, the engineers, the scientists, or whatever, or the product people, or, you know, these business guys or whatever. We are like one unit, and we have the culture of like collaboration actually. And they also by process and line up as a team.
Yeah, I think quoting you as well to further that is that product management will need to learn and engage much more in data and data technology as well. So yeah, how do you see that evolving?
Yes. If we look a bit back, or even nowadays still, I think when we look into the work of product management, the way things were built is like you work very closely with the software engineering team, where you have on one hand side, let's say the product manager, the CEO, and the engineering manager, the CTO of the topic, let's say, and they come up ideally with a good product, right? They bring it into the market. But nowadays, this is not anymore how you can really make the difference compared to competition. So what got us here won't get us there, right? It's like some like adjusted quote from the title of the book from Marshall Goldsmith. So we need to start thinking different to make the difference. And we need to see how we can get data or data as a function to the table in an efficient way. That requires, again, interest from all sides. The product management people need to think of, okay, how I want to make it part of my work, you know, to work with data and to incorporate data in my work, and then getting curious, asking questions, and also looking what's available out there in terms of data technology to succeed with my product, right?
Yeah.
And again, if you are open for communication and collaboration, you're going to get more colors to the table. The data folks will bring you some angles and insights you might have never thought of. And them will start thinking differently, because thinking in a product mindset nowadays, in my opinion, is very, very important to succeed in the data space. And this is what you can learn then from the product managers, right? Which they are trained in for years.
Yeah, absolutely. I think people have traditionally thought as engineers being pragmatic and not creative, but there's a lot of unfulfilled potential that can be used in areas such as product development and new products. How can we give product managers, for example, their first taste of success in data? What kind of processes can we begin with?
I mean, if we just look on Netflix, right? And if you open Netflix on your TV, you get some recommendations, right? you are like already exposed to data. What's happening there? You have behind the scenes a recommendation engine which knows about your history, what type of shows you have watched, and then it's presenting you this data. And this is a collaboration between data science, machine learning, data engineering, software engineering, and product management, right? And I think the people are exposing themselves already in various areas, and we see also all the products, the successful products, which speak for themselves. And just looking on those angles and being very curious on those things will give us the taste. We just need to look on great products and ask the question, what is data like doing there, and what is machine learning doing there to make this a better product? Again, curiosity, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Curiosity is key, and using data to confirm our curiosity in areas that we think might be successful, or does data present insights that could lead us in a different direction? Which do you think is more powerful?
I mean, I wouldn't over prioritize the one to the other. I would keep them both on the same level, I would say, because one thing is if you're building a product, right, and you're sending it into the market, you would never enter an aircraft which is not showing you like on the instruments, the right height or the right speed and so on and so forth. I mean, like it would be insane to enter such an aircraft. So it's an extreme example, but just to emphasize the topic here. And you are sending a product into the market. You are sending a lot of money into the market. You are sending a lot of, work into the market and producing this product. So you should rather know how it's performing, right? If it's meeting your expectations. And this is very crucial. You need to know how your product is performing. But before you're sending it into market, you should have done also some homework, right? You should have analyzed the market. How is it looking like, or understand your overall user base, how they're gonna probably embrace this product or not. So, it's both important.
Could it hold back innovation because we're looking at data to reinforce our ideas, and maybe it gets a 20% success rate prediction? You probably wouldn't go through that model, but that 20% might have been enough for it to be a completely new concept. Does looking for data in those aspects hold us back? What are your thoughts?
I'm not sure if I'm getting the question right. So if you could help me with reframing it.
Absolutely. So if we were looking for a brand new product and we were looking for insights to prove that it's needed or required, or there is people are looking for such a problem to be solved, does that eliminate other areas that were maybe a little bit more creative that society wasn't ready for, but could have been very successful? I'm just thinking to your example of the plane. You wouldn't have got on the plane if you didn't have the data understanding, but the first plane was a completely crazy idea that if you had the data, it wouldn't have probably come to fruition. But does that make sense?
Yes, I think these are two views you can very easily marry with each other. I think we should be always curious. We should always explore, and we should think together in all directions. But while doing so and confirming this, we should pretend like ending up in the, let's say, desirability bias or confirmation bias, right? So we should rather drive a scientific approach. We should treat those things as experiments. And then, our curiosity or exploration should then be supported, right, by experiments and numbers, which either telling us you are going to the right direction or not. We again need data, to do this.
So you shouldn't be scared of using data to experiment. There's a lot of directions you can go in. You should see it as an ally and not an enemy for innovation and change.
Absolutely. This is for sure like the direction everyone should go for. You should stay curious. You need to be innovative, right? And the data should be, as you said, your ally and to support your experiments in this exploration.
And experiments we see more and more often. You touched on AI and machine learning, and very, very topical at the moment is Chat GTP, and how the use cases that we can have for that. How have you found its release and the reaction to the greater world outside of data science and analytics?
I really like what's going on there. So I'm very curious and looking forward what it's gonna bring us in terms of like products which gonna help humanity, right? And overall in building any type of products. What I have been observing also is like immediately the comparison between Google, right? So don't you think Google didn't know about those things? Don't you think they don't have this? They just, they don't want to build and release something with like accuracy problems. They have an image and so on and so forth. And there you see again like two type of let's say views. One is people really amazed by the product and embracing it and being curious, and the other ones, let's say, are very skeptical. And Google knows this already. It can't be successful. This brings me even back to the BlackBerry example, right? When iPhone came to the market, BlackBerry was a great thing. It had a lot of market share, right? But they missed the point of rethinking that something else, a different approach could be like more beneficial for the customer and the user base, right? iPhone, what is an iPhone? It's a MacBook and a phone. Even Steve Jobs back then needed to be convinced by the engineering team for a while until iPhone got sort of signed off by him, right? This brings us again to the point we should stay curious. We should be able to rethink. We should be open for change. And this is how I see Chat GPT.
It's something that I think there's loads of. Kodak was one example. I think Nokia as well as BlackBerry. I think Nokia actually had the touchscreen ready to go, but they didn't think it would be useful. And then Apple comes along and we all know what's happened with Apple. To have a bit of fun and think a bit hypothetically, what use cases do you think Chat GTP would have in general society?
I mean, just really like I'm currently on the fly brainstorming. I didn't think about it so thoroughly. What comes to my mind is like it's gonna hopefully make overall research easier, right? Accessing knowledge. So hopefully when I'm thinking about health industry, right? Cancer therapy, for instance. So every cancer has a different way of treatment, and all the people in this area need to do a lot of research, right? They have to gather together information to figure out and find out how to therapy this a certain type of cancer. It could help all the doctors to gather this information much faster. As an example, right? It can contribute to humanity in a very nice way, and most probably in various very colorful ways I'm not even able to think of currently.
Yeah, it's crazy to think where it could be. I think playing around with it, I think people have been a bit worried at first, but I think for programming, for example, you have to know how to program or to code to be able to use it in a good way. And I believe that it's still the power of the question. I think you have to know what to ask it to get a good answer and a use case. But I think for the data world and for AI and machine learning, I think it's been a great advertisement for the possibilities of the work that we're doing, and to people outside of the world of IT.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And it's, I would say, putting or pulling the topic of search engines into a totally different and new spot, how search engines are going to work in the future, right? And bringing us again back to Google. And I would even pull the news that I think Microsoft invested with Bing a lot, or invested into a collaboration with ChatGPT. So it's telling us a lot that there's going to happen something.
Yeah, absolutely. And for ourselves as well, we'll probably be very hopeful that we attract a lot of, even more great people to the world of data. And I think it's going to be an exciting few years and further. So yeah, really, really looking forward to that. Well, you've taught us a lot today, Yavuz, so thank you for that. We could have spoke for a lot longer. And I think these topics lead pretty nicely onto a future podcast and maybe one of our live events later in the year, which we would love to have you there. Unfortunately, that's all we have time for today. But thank you once again, Yavuz, for your time and your rich insights. It's been educational. To the listeners, as always, drop your questions and feedback in the comment section. We'll pick some answer some on future podcasts. This is the last episode from myself for this series, but do tune in for the second series and do share so we can reach this to as many people as possible. But Yavuz, thank you once again.
Thanks for having me. I really enjoyed it, and thank you.
Ciao for now. Take care.
Ciao.